morning, Champion Lakes Christian Church. It's Dr. Mike Keating here with you today and doing something a little bit different. I've got my prayer shawl with me today, the same prayer shawl I used to pray a blessing over Raina and Pastor Karen when they got married on the 15th of February this year. This is called a Talith, a prayer shawl, and it's what inspired the colours of the Jewish flag, the blue and the white. So very interesting to have a nation whose national symbol is that of David and of prayer. And of course it's used at every major Jewish festival, whether it's a wedding, a burial, a bar mitzvah, and has great significance to the traditional Jew. The word Talith comes from two Hebrew words, the first being tent and ith, little. So this is actually a little tent. So the idea is that when the man would pray, he couldn't always go up to the tabernacle where the glory of God resided, but he could form his own tabernacle in which he could commune with God. This is his little tent, his Talith. And across the top here is inscribed in Hebrew the Shema, Deuteronomy chapter 6. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one God, and you shall love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, soul, and strength. At the edges of the prayer shawl was these corners, these tzitzits they're called, and traditionally they would have 613 knots in them, representing each one of the laws of the Torah that had been codified by the ancient scribes and Pharisees. And so, a wonderful piece of clothing full of deep symbolism, white being the colour of purity and blue being the colour of heaven. So, great promise was seen in the Talith. We have these wonderful stories of, Boaz and Ruth, coming to marriage and intimacy through the throwing of the mantle. We've got this being a prophetic mantle. We've got that story too where David, when he's being pursued by King Saul, sneaks up on the sleeping king and he cuts off the hem of his garment. This is what he would have cut off. And in fact, of course, what he was actually doing was taking away his authority as the king. It was more than just a prayer shawl. These were also the signs, the symbols of office and rank. If you wanted to divorce a woman in the ancient world, you could just cut off the hem of her garment, and that would be the same as saying, you're out of here, you're divorced. So when David cut off the mantle, cut off the hem of the king's royal robe, he's in fact saying, you're no longer the king, I'm the king. 1 Samuel 24 verse 20. Saul says, now behold, I know well that you will surely be king, and that the kingdom of Israel is established in thine hand. David had the authority to do so. But one of the most famous stories in the Bible is that of the woman who has the menstrual problem, the constant bleeding. She suffered dreadfully from this. And in the ancient world, it was not only a terrible biological condition, but also had tremendous social stigma. You were considered to be unclean, defiled, you were prevented from access to the religious life of the community, to much of the social life of the community. So it was a tremendous curse. And we find that the woman in Matthew chapter 9 verse 20, she pushes through the crowd to touch the hem of Jesus' garment. Now, what she was actually doing was actually reaching for this. The traditional Jewish man would actually have his prayer shawl underneath his garments, would have had an outer garment, and down the bottom you still would have seen the prayer shawl, the fringes, the tzitzit extended. And in these particular portions, it was considered that is where the anointing oil would finally gather in the godly man, in the high priest. So as they poured the oil upon, it would flow right down, and ultimately it would reside in the bottom of one of these tassels. And so by touching the tassel, this lady was reaching out and touching the very place of anointing. And what's incredible about the story? Well, it's absolutely incredible. The power of God flowed, just like that. It didn't take God or Jesus a conscious decision. So, someone's praying, someone needs our help. The power just flowed, activated by the faith of the woman who reached forth. And that spontaneous miracle occurred as a result of touching the hem of his garment. And of course, the Aaronic blessing in Numbers chapter 6, the high priest would get up and he would pray, "The Lord bless you, the Lord keep you, the Lord lift up his face upon you and grant to you his amazing sweet peace." May the Lord bless you wherever you might be today. God bless you. We shall see you tomorrow.